From top secret bases to underwater fortresses and even a spy ship, we are diving into all of this and more. Starting off our list today, we have the Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center. This is a facility found in the deep waters of the Bahamas, specifically on Andros Island, where it operates under the aegis of the United States Navy. This undersea range, often dubbed the Underwater Area 51, specializes in testing and evaluating sophisticated undersea warfare equipment, including submarines, sonar systems, and weapons. However, its remote location and secretive missions have ignited the public's imagination, spawning a flotilla of theories and legends. Some aficionados of the mysterious propose that AUTEC is a hotspot for underwater UFO bases, or USOs. More on that later, suggesting that its deep sea environs are a playground for extraterrestrial activities concealed beneath the waves. Others weave tales of the center being involved in time travel experiments, covert aquatic human enhancement programs, or even serving as a gateway to lost underwater civilizations. It's a lot going on there. Next up today we have RAF RRL Manor, which is nestled in the English countryside near Corsham, Wiltshire, and this place has long been a nexus of mystery. Originally serving as an RAF operational site, its subterranean complexity and historical depth have rendered it a hotbed for tales of hidden tunnels, secret government archives, and even extraterrestrial encounters. Rumors persist that beneath its innocuous surface lies a labyrinthine network of bunkers and tunnels hosting activities far removed from the public view. These range from UFO investigation units to covert wartime operations. Despite official dismissals, the allure of RAF RRL Manor endures, its mysterious facade inspiring a gamut of speculative narratives from clandestine Cold War strategies to alien autopsies. You heard that. Alien autopsies. What's fact and what's fiction? Well, the truth is, we may never really know. Moving on down, we have Fort Meade, which is located in Maryland in the United States, which is perhaps best known as the home of the National Security Agency, more commonly known as the NSA. This is the US entity responsible for global monitoring, collection, and processing of information and data for foreign intelligence and counterintelligence purposes. This high-profile association makes Fort Meade a focal point for numerous theories, largely revolving around surveillance and espionage. People tend to speculate about the depth and breadth of the NSA's capabilities, suggesting it can listen in on any conversation in the world or crack any encryption. While it's very clear that Fort Meade plays a critical role in national security, the secretive nature of its operations fuels public imagination, leading to tales of secret underground facilities, mind control experiments, and other secret operations. Coming up next, we have the Negev Nuclear Research Center, which is located in Dimona in Israel. Officially, the facility is described as a nuclear research center, but its opacity and limited public information have fueled widespread speculation about its true nature and capabilities. Rumors range from it housing an extensive underground city capable of surviving a nuclear apocalypse to being the birthplace of secretive nuclear weapons, despite Israel's policy of nuclear ambiguity, where it neither confirms nor denies possessing nuclear armaments. This veil of secrecy has made the Negev Nuclear Research Center a magnet for conspiracy theorists who speculate that it could be involved in everything, from advanced weapons development to exotic energy research or even extraterrestrial communication. Would this really be a top secret military base if we weren't talking about aliens? Adding to the mystique are international concerns and the cloak and dagger tales of espionage associated with attempts to uncover its secrets, including the infamous case of Mordecai Vanunu. That is like, if I ever heard somebody who's like in a tale of espionage, it's someone named Mordecai Vanunu, a former technician at the facility who disclosed details about its operations to the British press in 1986. At the end of the day, this place is full of mysteries, most of which we will likely never know the answers to. Alright, so just sit and think about that for a bit. Coming up next, we have the Submarine Base New London, located in Groton, Connecticut. This base holds the distinction of being the United States Navy's primary East Coast submarine base. Beyond its official status as a hub of naval prowess and innovation, this storied installation has also navigated through the murky waters of urban legends. While it stands in the open as a testament to maritime military might, whispers of secret operations and even secretive underwater pathways have added layers of intrigue to its reputation. Some speculate about hidden underwater tunnels supposedly connecting it to other strategic points, or even suggesting that it's a testing ground for experimental submarine technologies possibly derived from alien crafts. They say that most of the ocean is still unexplored, but what if they're just saying that so we don't find the secret tunnels? I'm just asking the hard-hitting questions here, alright? Moving on down our list, we have the Pine Castle Impact Range, which is nestled within the Ocala National Forest in Florida. As a bombing and training range used by the US Navy, it is integral for preparing military personnel for various missions, yet its secluded nature and thunderous sounds of ordnance have sparked grounds for legends and theories. Tales circulate of mysterious phenomena, unexplained noises, and even strange lights. While the range serves a clear military purpose, the combination of its very secretive operations and its remote wooded setting provides the perfect backdrop for these tales to flourish. I mean, to be fair, as a testing range for certain weapons, it definitely makes sense why this place is full of mystery and stories. Sure, it definitely makes quite the impact on those who live in the area. Next up today, we have the Harstad Naval Base, which is located in the strategically important Arctic region of Norway. While primarily recognized as a critical node for NATO's maritime operations in the North Atlantic, the base's secluded and harsh Arctic environment definitely lends itself as a backdrop for tales of covert operations and clandestine activities. Amidst the icy waters and the rugged terrain, some speculate that the base could be involved in everything from monitoring Russian naval activity to secretive underwater research, possibly linked to advanced marine technology, or even unidentified submerged objects, or USOs. I told you we would talk about them more later. There are some absolutely fascinating tales of USOs that remain completely unexplained. One, the Shag Harbor incident, which took place here in Canada, is actually still listed as a UFO in the official government documents. It's wild to think that they wouldn't be researching those things here, especially in somewhere as mysterious as the Arctic. I don't know, the Arctic is kinda something weird going on there. It's also very cold. Alright, this next one is a little different compared to the others today because it is not a fixed installation and instead is a moving object that is the source of much speculation. The Viktor Leonov, a Vishna-class intelligence ship of the Russian Navy, has been the focal point of intrigue and speculation, particularly among defense analysts and conspiracy theorists. Of course. This vessel, renowned for its sophisticated surveillance capabilities, is often covered in mystery as it navigates international waters, ostensibly gathering intelligence. While officially its missions involve signal and communications intelligence, the ship's appearances near other countries' naval bases have fueled theories that suggest clandestine operations, ranging from underwater espionage to interference in foreign communications networks. The allure of the Viktor Leonov lies not just in its high-tech espionage equipment, but also in its very stealthy maneuvers. Its sudden emergence off coastlines, often without any formal announcement, sparks a flurry of media speculation, making it a magnet for tales of covert operations and international intrigue. Whether it's tapping undersea cables or eavesdropping on military exercises, the Viktor Leonov embodies the enduring fascination with the secretive world of naval intelligence. Next up, we have Fort Dietrich, located in Frederick, Maryland in the United States. This place is a Army Medical Command installation with a storied past that intertwines pioneering biomedical research with the shadowy realms of biodefense and high-level military experiments. Originally established during World War II, it gained notoriety as the center of the United States biological weapons program until such activities were halted in 1969. Since then, Fort Dietrich has pivoted to focus on biodefense, public health, and cancer research, housing some of the nation's most advanced biosafety laboratories. Despite its legitimate scientific achievements, Fort Dietrich is enshrouded in a cloak of mystery, fueling urban legends that range from its alleged role in the spread of Lyme disease to speculative connections with the outbreak of mysterious illnesses. The facility's secretive past and high security endeavors have made it a fertile ground for speculations, linking it to various plots in pop culture and conspiracy theory circles. And moving on down, today we have the Wright Patterson Air Force Base, which is nestled in Dayton, Ohio. Ohio is like our second home here on the channel, and for a good reason. This base is not just a hub of military aviation innovation, it is a vault of mystique stirring the pot of urban legends. Central to its lore is the legendary Hangar 18, which is full of tales of extraterrestrial autopsies, again with the alien autopsies, and of course, UFO research. It's a place where the lines between science and science fiction blur. Critics argue there's no concrete evidence of such activities, yet the base remains an emblem of intrigue, fueled by its historical ties to Project Blue Book, the US Air Force's official investigation into UFOs. While serving as a cornerstone of American aeronautics, Wright-Patterson balances its esteemed legacy with a cloak of mystery.
Today, we're about to talk about restricted places, but these ones are a little bit different.
Yes, because no human has ever been to these places before.
What secrets could lie in these restricted, unexplored places? Well, you're gonna find out today. And we're starting off the list with Bangar Fort. This is the highest unclimbed mountain in the entire world. It's 24,836 feet tall, almost the size of Everest. It's in that ballpark. Its name translates to White Peak of the Three Spiritual Brothers. Now, there have been attempted climbs of this mountain, but none were ever successful, and there probably never will be any successful climbs of the highest peak, because in 1994, climbing of any mountain above 20,000 feet in Bhutan was banned due to the locals viewing these peaks as sacred. And then in 2003, mountaineering was banned in the country altogether. In 1998, a Japanese team of climbers attempted to ascend the mountain anyway, receiving permission from the Chinese Mountaineering Association, because part of it extends across the Chinese border, but there was an uproar in Bhutan and their permit was revoked. So who knows what the view is like from all the way up there. At nearly 25,000 feet, it must be pretty spectacular.
Okay, my friends, next up, have you heard of Heard Island? How about the McDonald Islands? Well, if you have heard of them, I can guarantee you've never been. Why? Because they're banned, restricted, off limits. They have frickin' sharks with frickin' lasers. No, I'm just kidding. The islands are in fact not inhabited by Dr. Evil. Actually, they're not inhabited by anyone. This is because not only are the Australian islands barren, covered in ice, and incredibly remote, a 2-week sail to the closest major landmass, the islands are also home to Australia's only active volcanoes. Sporadic eruptions on Heard Island began in 1910, and in 1992, the submarine volcanoes of McDonald Islands followed suit. While there hasn't been an eruption on either island in the last 12 years, consistent thermal activity and lava flow continue to be monitored via satellite. And the data concluded that 1, the volcanoes on the island continue to be a risk to the safety of living beings, and 2, you should 100% stay the hell away from these islands. And that's science, baby.
Next up, we have a large pit said to be a gateway to hell. Husa Castle's chapel was built over this hole in the Czech Republic in order to keep demonic entities from climbing out of its depths. Before the castle was built, locals would tell stories of winged creatures crawling out from the pit and terrorizing people in the night, no one would ever dare going down to explore that pit. Aside from all the stories of demons crawling out of it, it was too deep to explore anyway. So in order to seal these demonic entities in, Husa Castle was built at some point in the 1200s, with the chapel built right over the gateway to hell, being the only place powerful enough to repel the hellish creatures below. Now, this story might sound pretty unbelievable, but whether or not you believe in demonic winged monsters or a genuine gateway to hell in the ground, it certainly seems like the people of the time believed in these stories, because this castle stands in a very odd location. Most castles were built in places that were advantageous in some way, but there were no trade routes close to Husa Castle, and it was built in a swampy, forested area. It was also built without a kitchen or a source of water. Very strange. So it seems as if it was erected for one very specific purpose: sealing a gateway to hell.
Next up, we have Krubra or Veronia Cave in Georgia, the world's deepest cave with a depth of 2,140 meters, that is 7,020 feet. Before you annihilate me in the comments because your mom's uncle's cousin actually went there once, I get it. People have been to the cave. In fact, they've been in the cave and they've licked the cave and they've done whatever the heck else in there too. Well, here's the thing. I'm not talking about the main cave. I'm talking about the part that you can't go because no one's gone and it's restricted. Read the title. Considering the fact that Veronia is the deepest cave on Earth, it probably comes as no surprise that a lot of the underground system remains unexplored, and for good reason too. It's incredibly dangerous. The terrain is steep and wet, and the bottom of the cave is a basin filled with water, meaning it's also filled with no-go, unmapped zones as well. Fair enough, considering even the accessible zones are restricted to advanced climbers only, and even still, in August of 2021, a Russian man named Sergei Kozev was found dead inside the cave. It appears as though he slipped during his descent. He was found dangling from his rope more than 915 meters, 3,100 feet deep into the cave.
Next on the list we have Mars. Now, humans haven't set foot on any planet other than Earth, but Mars is relatively close to us, in the grand scheme of things, and we've gotten rovers and stuff on there, so there's a bit more to discuss when it comes to the Red Planet. Now, this place is completely uninhabitable, at least without highly advanced technology. We'd need some sort of protection against the high levels of radiation. We'd need some way of having breathable air, most likely some kind of dome-like structure. A manned mission to Mars would take about 6 to 9 months, but who knows when we'll actually get to see that happen. Traveling out in space for that long, it's obviously quite a risk. It's one thing if something goes wrong on the way to the moon, but imagine being 6 months out into space and running into an issue. That is pretty terrifying. And we don't even know if there's aliens on Mars. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but they could be like hiding underground or something.
Okay, next up we have the bottom of the Drake Passage. I mean, considering how dangerous this place is at sea level, it's really no surprise it ended up on this list. As of right now, not only has no one been approved to explore the depths of the Drake Passage, even if they were, I highly doubt they would be able to. Why? Because it's super dangerous. I mean, forget the fact that the skies above the waters are infested with massive giant petrels that have been known to peck out sailors' eyes, and that the waters are filled with aggressive leopard and elephant seals and colossal squids and sleeper sharks, right? Forget that. And forget that there's been over 800 shipwrecks in the area, that it's littered with massive icebergs, and that the passage often faces hurricane-forced winds, whipping rains, and waves of up to 65 feet. Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. We can't forget that, because if we did, we would die. While I am sure the waters beneath the surface of the Drake are full of amazing, incredible, unknown sea life, maybe even frickin' sharks with frickin' lasers, I understand that for now, exploring the depths of the area is just not something we are able or allowed to do, but a girl can dream.
Next on the list are the stairs to nowhere. So in recent years, stories about eerie sets of stairs appearing in the middle of forests have started popping up, especially in American national parks like Yosemite. And nobody knows where these stairs come from. Park rangers have come out sharing strange stories about starting new jobs and being told by other park rangers to avoid these stairs at all costs, and most certainly not to climb them. It's been said that these stairs don't just lead to nowhere, they lead to a more horrific kind of nowhere. It's said that people have gone missing after ascending these mysterious sets of stairs, never to be seen again. As to where they go, some believe these stairs are gateways to alternate realities or dimensions, but no one knows for sure. The only people who have gone to wherever these stairs lead have never returned to tell about it. So basically what I'm saying is next time you're hiking through the woods and come across a set of out-of-place stairs leading up to nothing, climb up there. I want to find out what's up there, see if you could see what's up, and and if you get whisked away to Narnia or something, just try and get a message back down to us.
Next up, we have the tomb of Qin XI Hang. Modern day, because I am well aware that humans had to go inside the elaborate tomb to build it. But since then, the tomb has somehow become filled with dangerous levels of mercury, meaning that in modern times it is restricted and not one human alive today has stepped foot inside. And for good reason, other than the 100% chance of mercury poisoning, that is. It is believed that the tomb containing 8,000 life-size terracotta soldiers is also highly booby-trapped, meaning that there is potential danger at every turn. And if that's not enough, the tomb is also supposedly protected by a deadly curse. The Curse of the Terracotta Soldiers, which came true for a group of 7 men who discovered the soldiers in 1974 while digging a well for their town. Not only was their town destroyed, but 3 of them died and the others became impoverished and watched their families suffer. And if that's not enough, the structure of the tomb is also believed to be incredibly unstable, kind of like your last relationship, meaning that any attempt to open it could very well lead to its crumbling demise. Best to avoid this one.
Right, when we think of unexplored parts of our planet, it's often the ocean that comes to mind first, and we're certainly not wrong to think that. About 95% of our ocean is unexplored. But there's also plenty of land we haven't set foot on either. The Northern Triangle subtropical forests are a vast expanse of greenery, stretching across Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. They're teeming with diverse flora and fauna, but these forests are mostly unexplored. These forests are like the Amazon's lesser-known cousin. We often hear about the Amazon's wonders, but the Northern Triangle forests are mostly under the radar. So who knows what kinds of unknown secrets are in these forests? There could be rare species of plants or animals lurking in the depths. Scientists reckon there's this gold mine of undiscovered life forms waiting to be found. But these forests are also inherently dangerous for that exact reason. Bigfoot. I think there's Bigfoots out there.
And to finish off our list today, we have the New Hebrides Trench located in the Pacific Ocean. Now, unlike the Drake Passage, some of the waters of this trench have actually been explored. By robots, that is. Not humans, which shouldn't come as a shock to anyone considering the fact that the trench is more than 7,000 meters deep, 23,000 feet. The robots were sent down with cameras and bait and were able to capture some amazing images and videos showcasing the diversity, or lack of diversity, of sea life on the ocean floor. Amongst the animals seen during the robotic expedition, there were arrowroot eels, cusk eels, prawns, and crustaceans. Samples of many of these animals were successfully obtained and brought to the surface as well. But what really surprised scientists was the absence of other animals usually seen at these kinds of depths. They believe the sparsity and diversity in the area might have something to do with climate change or, frickin' sharks with frickin' lasers.
From underground bunkers to remote deserts, these enclaves of the unknown have sparked more conspiracy theories and speculation than any sci-fi movie. Are they testing advanced aircraft, harboring extraterrestrial secrets, or conducting experiments far beyond our wildest imaginations? Buckle up and prepare for a journey into the heart of the world's most impenetrable fortresses, where the line between fact and fiction blurs and the truth is stranger than fiction. Starting off our list today, we have Kapustin Yar in Russia. This place, often shrouded in an aura of intrigue and mystery, is a Russian rocket launch and development site that has fueled countless conspiracy theories and urban legends since its establishment in 1946. Dubbed the Russian Roswell, it has been at the epicenter of UFO folklore in Russia, with numerous sightings and alleged alien encounters reported over the decades. The secrecy secrecy surrounding its operations only amplifies the allure, with speculations ranging from hidden extraterrestrial artifacts to advanced undisclosed aerospace technologies. While it serves as a significant hub for Russia's aerospace endeavors, its mysterious past and the restricted access to the site have made it a fertile ground for outlandish theories and urban legends, my favorite. Next up, we have Camp Peri, commonly referred to as the Farm, is a site nestled in Virginia in the United States, and it is shrouded in a veil of secrecy that feeds the imagination and fuels countless conspiracy theories. Officially designated as a military reservation, it is widely reputed to be the CIA's premier training facility for spies and intelligence operatives. That's like the coolest thing in the world to me. I would love to be a spy. This cloak and dagger aura is compounded by the tight-lipped nature of its operations and the near impenetrable security surrounding the site, which naturally gives rise to speculations ranging from advanced espionage training methods to covert experiments and beyond. The allure of Camp Peri is not just in what is known, but in the mysteries and possibilities of what might lie within its guarded confines. This blend of fact, speculation, and mystery ensures that this site remains one of America's most interesting and captivating secret facilities. Next up on our list today, we have Hangyang Tan, which is in China. This place is full of mystery, largely due to a very intriguing discovery made there: a vast-scale model of a disputed border area between China, specifically Aksai Chin, a region administered by China but claimed by India. The model, roughly the size of several football fields, was spotted on satellite images, sparking a flurry of speculation. While the official explanation suggests it is likely used for military training, giving troops a detailed 3D perspective of the terrain they might encounter, this has not stopped a wave of theories, of course. People have suggested purposes ranging from advanced weapon testing to extraterrestrial communication. This place is full of secrets the public is just waiting to know the truth about, but the truth is, we will likely never know. Next up on our list today, we have Ziter in Russia. Okay, another one of those secret Russian facilities. This place has captivated the imagination of conspiracy theorists. I mean, what doesn't capture their imagination? But also military aficionados. Dubbed by some as Russia's Area 51, this facility is rumored to nestle within the confines of Kapustin Yar missile test range that we already spoke about, which itself is a site of considerable speculation due to its historic ties to the Soviet Union's early forays into space and missile technology. Urban legends paint Ziter as a subterranean labyrinth teeming with alien technology and clandestine government experiments. Tales of UFO crash retrievals, reverse engineering of extraterrestrial artifacts, and even advanced propulsion research echo through the corridors of conspiracy forums, fueling a narrative that blends Cold War secrecy with sci-fi mystique. I'm just saying, Bob Lazar probably loves this place. While concrete evidence remains as elusive as the whispers of alien encounters, Ziter's allure persists, an unexplained secret base where the limits of technology and reality itself seem to blur. Moving on down our list, we have the Los Alamos National Laboratory, which is located in the scenic New Mexico. This place is not only a cradle of scientific innovation, but also a fertile ground for the imagination. Established during World War II as part of the Manhattan Project, its primary mission was to design and build the atomic bomb. Most of us probably saw Oppenheimer, so I feel like we have a bit of an idea as to what this time in history was like. This clandestine origin has sown the seeds of mysteries that have flourished into various theories and legends. While it is revered for its contributions to nuclear science, space exploration, and national security, Los Alamos also wades through a swamp of speculative tales ranging from alien research to time travel experiments. Despite its transparent achievements in science and technology, the shroud of secrecy that once enveloped its operations feeds public curiosity curiosity and fuels tales that tread the fine line between fact and fiction. Next up on our list, we have the Tonopah Test Range, ensconced in the remote reaches of Nevada. This place is a swath of land that has long been the focal point of intense speculation. Officially, it serves as a key site for the testing of advanced weapons systems and aerospace technology, playing a pivotal role in the US military's research and development endeavors. Yet, its veil of secrecy and restricted access has painted it as a hub of extraterrestrial research, secret government experiments, and futuristic aircraft testing grounds that are years ahead of their time. This place remains quite the mystery. What are they doing out there in the Nevada desert? It's the question on everyone's minds. Next up, we have the Veluchinsk submarine base in Russia. A submarine base. Oh my god, it really doesn't get more secretive than that. I don't know, I'm kind of afraid of submarines. I don't know if that's like irrational or not, but they just kind of freak me out. They're so large. This place is located on the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, and it is a pivotal yet very mysterious naval installation. Officially known as Rybachi Nuclear Submarine Base, it serves as the home port for a significant portion of Russia's nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine fleet. Say that 5 times fast, holy. This base's remote and inhospitable location, combined with the inherent stealth and destructive power of its submarine inhabitants, shrouds this place in an aura of mystery and foreboding. Urban legends and theories surrounding this base often focus on hypothetical underwater alien bases, or even just covert undersea operations, with some suggesting that the base's submarines are involved in missions or encounters with extraterrestrial technology beneath the Pacific Ocean's depths. I truly could not make this up. Next up on our list today, we have the Thule Air Base in Greenland. This place is the United States' northernmost military installation, and it is a site covered in the icy mists of mystery and intrigue. Situated well within the Arctic Circle, this remote outpost has been a beacon, largely due to its extreme location and strategic importance. While officially it serves as a radar station and a key node in the ballistic missile early warning system, its isolated and harsh environment has only worked to fuel the speculation about scary activities and top-secret experiments. Rumors range from underground facilities burrowing into the Arctic ice to be a staging ground for space weapons or even UFO-related research. Despite these colorful tales, the site's critical role in military and aerospace operations is undeniable, standing as a silent sentinel in one of the most desolate places on Earth. Alright, starting off our top 2, we have the Hollman Air Force Base in the United States, nestled in the arid landscapes of New Mexico. This place is an epicenter of aviation and aerospace innovation, but of course, it is cloaked in secrecy. Renowned for its high-speed test track, where cutting-edge aircraft and technology are pushed to their limits, Hollman has etched its name into the annals of military lore. However, it is not just the technological feats that draw attention. Whispers of UFO sightings and extraterrestrial engagements have swirled around its parameters. While firmly rooted in its mission of advancing aerial prowess, Hollman Air Force Base remains a place where rumors of alien abductions have happened to Air Force sergeants working at the facility. Known for its infamous missing Project Grudge Report 13 after the mysterious death of Sergeant Jonathan P. Lovett in 1956, Hollman Air Force Base is certainly one of the strangest bases on this list. And finally on our list today, we have Area 6. Unlike its more famous neighbor, Area 51, Area 6 has managed to maintain a lower profile, yet it harbors its own strange allure. Officially, this remote outpost is designated for drone testing and other aerial experiments conducted by the Department of Energy and Department of Defense. However, its secluded location and stringent security measures have ignited the public imagination, leading to speculation that it might actually be a hotbed for activities far more secretive than acknowledged. Tales and theories range from experimental aircraft and advanced weapons testing to more outlandish claims of extraterrestrial collaborations. I have a theory for you. What if Area 6 is actually the place where the most secretive things happen, and Area 51 is just used as like a sort of cover cover-up. Like, oh yeah, look here and how secretive this place is. Well, it's actually Area 6 hiding mermaids and aliens and whatever else is out there that we don't know about.
Alright, today we're exploring some restricted, top secret, dangerous islands.
Yeah, so if you booked a vacation to any of these, you might want to get your money back because I'm guessing it was a scam.
Yeah, let's get right into it. And we're starting things off in Australia with Heard Island. If you're not into getting swallowed up by lava, you'll probably want to stay away from this place, and even if the idea of that entices you for whatever reason, you weirdo, well, you're not allowed to go anyway. It's all in the title of the video you just clicked on, Restricted Islands. So this place is very unique, but also incredibly treacherous. First off, let's talk weather. Heard Island is no stranger to wild and unpredictable conditions. It's notorious for its harsh climate, with constant storms and heavy precipitation. The winds here can be downright ferocious, sometimes a Category 3 hurricane level of force. Just not ideal conditions to pull up in a boat and set up camp. Another thing that makes visiting this place unappealing is the terrain. It's just full of glaciers, rocky peaks, and active volcanoes. Big Bend, the island's highest peak, is a hotspot for volcanic activity. It's just a horrible concoction of the worst weather conditions possible. Intense wind, ice, lava, and on top of all that, it's one of the most isolated places on the face of the earth. So a rescue mission would just be a logistical nightmare. If something goes sideways, help is not just a phone call away. I mean, you can call, they just won't get there in any due time.
All right, you guys, next up we've got Runit Island, located in the Marshall Islands. And while its land and waters are stunning, what I tell you next might just ruin it for you. I'm so sorry. Anyways, do you like radioactive waste? If you said yes, that's super weird, but okay. You've probably guessed by now that Runit has a fair amount of radioactive waste, in which case you'd be right. But do you know how much? That's right, Runit is home to an estimated 73,000 cubic meters of radioactive debris, which are all stored inside a massive 18-inch thick concrete dome located on the island. By the way, that's the equivalent of 73 million liters of waste. Throughout history, the United States conducted 43 nuclear tests on the island, at least one of which spread little bits of plutonium all over the island. Because of this, while you can boat around Runit's shoreline, a 25,000-year restriction has been placed on the island itself. Very much a don't look, don't touch kind of situation.
Next up on the list, we have Diego Garcia. Now, this has to be one of the most secretive US military bases in the entire world. It's also said to be one of the most strategically advantageous, so it's no surprise how super locked down it is. And on top of that, there's also a lot of controversy tied to this place. Diego Garcia is a small atoll in the Indian Ocean. It's part of the British Indian Ocean Territory, but the US military basically set up shop and turned it into one of their most prized bases. During the Cold War, they decided this atoll was the ideal spot for a Navy and Air Force base, and that's because it's a prime location that allows for quick access to the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. There are some interesting but very disturbing theories about Diego Garcia. One is that there's a big secret military prison on the island that carries out incredibly harsh punishments and interrogations, a place where enemies of the country are whisked away and never seen again. And of course, because the place is cut off from the mainland, it would also be a pretty good spot for some top secret, highly advanced weapons testing. No surprises here, but this is not a place the general public is allowed to add to their next vacation destination, unless you've been messing around, F around and find out, right?
Next up, we've got North Brother Island, located in New York City's East River and, of course, banned to the public. The island was actually purchased by New York in 1855 so that they could build the Riverside Hospital, which was used to isolate and treat people with contagious diseases such as typhus, smallpox, measles, tuberculosis, and yellow fever. The island was also home to one Typhoid Mary, the woman who is single-handedly attributed to the spread of typhoid fever. Rough title, but fitting, I suppose. Beyond the many individuals who would have died while receiving treatment in the Riverside Hospital, in 1905, over 1,000 deaths occurred in the waters surrounding the island after a steamship caught fire near its shores. After the tragedy, the island shut down for a while, but it was reopened after the First First World War as housing for war veterans. After that, it was used to treat addicts. Eventually, in 1963, the hospital shut its doors for good and the island was fully evacuated. Today, it is strictly off limits, inhabited only by overgrown weeds that have taken over roads and walkways, deteriorated and highly unstable buildings, and various forms of wildlife.
Next on the list is Bouvet Island, which happens to be the most isolated place on Earth, sitting far out in the South Atlantic Ocean. It's as remote gets. There's literally nothing around for thousands of miles. No neighbors, no nearby countries, just the vast open ocean. And that's a pretty frightening idea. If you found yourself in a bad situation here, good luck. And it's also a frozen chunk of rock and ice, constantly being battered by fierce winds and rough, choppy water. The weather is notoriously unpredictable, and storms can hit out of nowhere. It's basically uninhabitable. I mean, it is. The only people who are ever able to set foot here are the very occasional research teams or fishermen.
Next up, we've got the Falon Islands, commonly referred to as the Devil's Teeth. If the name alone isn't enough to keep you away, I can give you 3 things that might do the trick. Shoals, sharks, and radioactive waste. Not to mention, it's illegal. So let's start with the shoals, shall we? Treacherous underwater terrain with the ability to shred the bottom of sea vessels. I'd say that's a pretty major hazard for any boat trying to get close to the shores of the island, which is the only way to get onto it. Next, we have sharks, which highly populate the surrounding waters of Falon Island. And finally, the one we've all been waiting for, radioactive waste. How much? Not much. Just 47,800 drums full that are estimated to be slowly leaking their radioactive insides into the water surrounding the islands, contaminating the fish and sharks. You want to deal with radioactive sharks? Cause I don't. What I'm trying to say is that while I'm sure a few of you love the idea of breaking rules and challenging authority, I am begging you, please don't go here, because chances are you won't even make it onto the island. And even if you somehow do, all you're gonna find is a crap ton of aggressive, overgrown rodents. So 10 out of 10, it's not worth it.
The next creepy island on the list is Gasmask Island in Japan. Now, I know what you're all thinking. I mean, you hear that title, and it's just like, wow, that sounds like a pleasant family getaway. And in all honesty, that may be the case today. It does look like a beautiful spot, but at one time this place was a complete ghost town, and it could be, again, really at any time. And that's because Miyakajima is a volcanic island. The reason it earned the nickname Gasmask Island is because of its history with volcanic activity, particularly the high levels of sulfur dioxide gas spewing out of its active volcano. Back in 2000, the situation got pretty serious. The volcano started belching out way more sulfur dioxide than usual, making it the air quality downright dangerous. So in response, the Japanese government were forced to evacuate the entire population of the island. People were required to wear gas masks when they returned to their homes to gather belongings or check on things, and even when people were allowed to come back fully in 2005, people had to wear gas masks all the time. Now things have settled down a bit, but living on this island means being prepared for potential evacuations and harmful gases in the future. So residents are required to own gas masks. Even if you're just visiting, you gotta buy one, because at any time the volcano may start acting up again.
Next up, we've got Devil's Island, home to one of the most infamous prison systems in history. Crimes of those imprisoned on the island's penitentiary range from offending Napoleon III, vicious killings, or just simply existing in some cases. The conditions of this prison were less than savory. In fact, some people have referred to the penitentiary as the most feared prison in modern history. The prisoners who survived the journey to the island, which not all did due to treacherous waters and dangerous shores, were locked in cages, underfed, and used as inexpensive laborers, forced to work naked in waters up to their waists. And if they didn't live up to the impossibly high standards set by the prison guards, they were punished with steam and sulfur. Between the years of 1852 and 1938, over 56,000, mostly male prisoners were sent to the island. 90% died as a direct result of mistreatment and disease due to the unsanitary conditions of the grounds. The prison finally shut down in 1953, and since then the island has remained uninhabited. Due to rough waters and the harsh terrain surrounding the island, it has been deemed unsafe to enter, and therefore all visitation has has been strictly banned and prohibited.
Now we head to the inhospitable Antipodes Islands just south of New Zealand. Not only are these islands completely inhospitable, they're mountainous with incredibly harsh winds, and they're also volcanic. And there have been a number of shipwrecks on these islands. A ship called the Spirit of the Dawn, carrying 16 people, got into trouble and crashed off the main island's coast in 1893. There were 11 survivors, and for 87 days they were stuck on the island surviving on raw mutton birds. Luckily, their makeshift flag caught the attention of a ship and they were rescued, and there have been other wrecks, but as recently as 1999, a yacht met its unfortunate end at the Antipodes. 2 lives were lost, Gary Clark and Roger Sale.
And finally, to finish us off today, we have Runit Island in Scotland, home to highly unethical experiments involving livestock and anthrax contamination. It was 1942 when the British military began experimenting on Runit Island with the highly lethal biochemical weapon known as anthrax. And if that wasn't bad enough, part of the experimentation process involved populating the island with a total of 80 sheep, and then detonating a number of bombs filled with the infectious disease, covering the island in a lethal aerosol cloud that took out the entire sheep population within just a few days. The testing done on the island was actually in preparation for Operation Vegetarian, which thankfully never took place, but it was an attack strategy created by the British designed to take out their German adversaries at the time. Attempts to decontaminate the island were made, including bombarding it with napalm, but the anthrax spores were resilient and remained in the air and highly infectious, which is rightfully so why the island remains under permanent quarantine to this day.
Hiking, it's an amazing way to get some exercise. Not only is it a great way to get your body moving and get some fresh air, but you also get to see some pretty beautiful scenery too. But you should never underestimate how brutal nature can be. Harsh weather, rough terrain, dangerous animals. Not to mention, you could get lost if you don't know what you're doing. So today we're discussing some famous hiking trails where people have vanished without a trace. And we're starting off with the Superstition Mountains in Arizona. There are plenty of public hiking trails here, but there are certain areas that are restricted. There are too many stories about this place to count, and many of them are pretty macabre. These mountains are very rugged and can be challenging to navigate. There are steep cliffs, the temperatures are extreme. Over the years, tons of hikers and treasure hunters have gone missing here, because yes, there's a legend of treasure buried somewhere on this mountain range. The main danger here, aside from all the ghost stories, is the harsh terrain and the lack of clear trails. It's very easy to get lost or fall to your death, and many people are never found. One of the creepiest stories about this place, though, are all the reports of heads being found. Human heads, and with their bodies sometimes being found in a completely different part of the mountain range, or just nowhere to be found at all. So, along with how inherently dangerous the place is, disturbing stuff has been known to happen here too. Even some very experienced hikers and mountain climbers will veer as far away from this place as possible, saying that there's just this bad energy about the place. Next up is Bridal Veil Falls Trail in Utah. This trail was closed for a while after a huge avalanche hit, and if I'm not mistaken, it may still be closed. Aside from dangers like that though, this place is also known for a pretty strange disappearance a few years back. It's a very scenic spot, known for a beautiful waterfall, and it isn't the most extreme hike, but it does have some tricky spots, and if you're not familiar with the area, it's easy to get turned around. In 2016, 2 hikers died while on this trail. One was a foreign exchange student named Ketty Chen. The other was 28-year-old Brandon Reese. They were missing for just over a day when their bodies were found. They'd fallen to their deaths. The area they'd been hiking ranges from moderate to very technical, and unfortunately, neither of the pair had proper gear with them. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This is a beautiful spot on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina, and has some stunning views, lush forests, but people go missing here all the time. The park is vast and the woods are dense, making it easy for someone to get turned around and lost. There are also very dangerous animals like copperhead snakes, bears, feral hogs, bobcats, Over the years, a few people have wandered off the beaten path and never made it back. And it's not just a case of people getting lost. Sometimes they seem to just vanish without a trace. One of the strangest cases is the disappearance of Dennis Martin in 1962. He was on a camping trip with family. His father had seen him going behind a bush to hide. He was gonna jump out and scare the adults, but 5 minutes went by and he hadn't come out. The family looked everywhere for him and he was nowhere to be seen. They contacted the park rangers and there was a huge search. Even the Green Berets were called in at one point, but he never turned up. The problem was it started to rain heavily on the first day of the search, which would have gotten rid of any clear tracks. And then there was heavy mist on the days that followed. So if you're planning a trip to the Great Smoky Mountains, enjoy the scenery, but be smart. Now we head way over to Nepal to discuss the Annapurna Circuit. Now, this trek looks absolutely spectacular. Pretty sure this would still be very much worth it for me. Amazing scenery, but apparently the terrain can be pretty challenging. And there have been a number of hikers who have disappeared along here. The Annapurna Circuit stretches across the Annapurna mountain range in the Himalayas. It's got high altitudes, the weather can be pretty harsh, and the trails wind through diverse landscapes, from subtropical forests to alpine meadows. The circuit crosses the Thorong La Pass, one of the highest trekking passes in the world, reaching an elevation of over 17,000 feet. So you gotta be very well prepared for something like that. People have died along here for all kinds of reasons: harsh weather and avalanches, accidents, and just getting lost and never being seen again. Next on the list is Denali National Park in Alaska. This place is home to the tallest peak in North America, Mount McKinley, now officially known as Denali. Once again, you have rugged terrain here and unpredictable weather. British mountaineer Richard Leo disappeared on Denali in 2010. He'd been attempting a solo climb of the West Buttress route, but he never made it, and his body was never found. And just last year, 2 mountain climbers died while climbing a 10,300-foot peak called the Moose's Tooth. It's been described as a, quote, steep technical route. A friend had contacted authorities when he hadn't heard from the pair, and a search and rescue was launched, but the two were never found. It was likely they'd set off an avalanche that dragged them away. And just like with most of the places on this list, search and rescue isn't easy because of its remote location and limited accessibility. The park is also vast, making it tough to locate people in a short amount of time. Next up, we have the Appalachian Trail, and probably the saddest story on this list. So this is a famous hiking path stretching over 2,000 miles from Georgia to Maine. It crosses through a variety of landscapes, forests to mountains, making a popular but very challenging trail. Now, the AT is known for being a long-distance hiking paradise. It's got its challenges though. It's wild, and people have been known to go missing. One of the most well-known cases is that of 66-year-old Geraldine Largay. In 2013, she was hiking a section of the trail in Maine, and unfortunately, she got lost. She'd ended up wandering into dense terrain, so wild it was actually used for military training. She wouldn't be found until 2 years later. She'd been writing in her journal though, which was found along with her body by a logger. The last entry read, "When you find my body, please call my husband George and my daughter Carrie. It will be the greatest kindness for them to know that I am dead and where you found me, no matter how many years from now." The Appalachian Trail is long, with parts that are less traveled and can be dangerous to navigate, and if you go off the trail, it's easy to get disoriented. Now we head over to New Zealand with the Travers Sabine Circuit in Nelson Lakes National Park. Another absolutely stunning place by the looks of it. I mean, it's New Zealand. Lord of the Rings was shot here for a very good reason, but it can be dangerous too. In 2014, a German student named Christian Pren embarked on the Travers Sabine Circuit but never returned. All that was found was his backpack, which he'd left at the base of Mount Traverse before he'd attempted his climb. Mount Traverse is the second highest peak in the park, and it's known for being treacherously steep. About 50 people have gone missing in this park and have never been found. All have been traveling solo. Cradle Mountain Lake in St. Clair National Park, Australia. This is Australia, so danger kinda goes without saying. People need to be rescued from this area on a pretty frequent basis, it seems. This place is famous for its rugged landscapes and, of course, the stunning Cradle Mountain itself, but also has its fair share of mysteries. The park has seen a few cases of people going completely missing, especially in its more remote areas. One of the things that makes Cradle St. Clair National Park unique is the overland trek. It's a popular and beautiful trek, but you gotta be seriously prepared. There's a warning right on the Tasmania Parks and Wildlife Service website saying, warning, the overland trek is a serious undertaking for well-prepared walkers with a good level of fitness and who understand the risks of walking in a remote alpine area. Weather can change rapidly and deaths have occurred, even in summer, when people have been caught unprepared in cold, wet, and windy weather. So yeah, weather is a big part of the problem in this area. It can be very unpredictable. Next up, we have the rather infamous Yosemite National Park. This park in California is known for its beautiful granite cliffs, the waterfalls, all the people going missing, the pretty trees. Oh, wait, what's that, missing people? Yeah, lots of them. The most well-known case is probably Stacy Harris in 1981. She was a young hiker who veered off from her group to take pictures of a lake and then was never seen again. Helicopters and ground teams searched for her, but she was never found. And she's not the only one. The latest missing person is Joel Thomason, who planned a 3-day solo trek in September of 2021. He never returned, and his body has never been found. Yosemite's terrain can be pretty challenging. There are a lot of steep cliffs, dense forests. The park encompasses a vast area, and while popular destinations like Yosemite Valley have well-marked trails, if you decide to venture into more remote parts, you may not be ready for it. So just like with every place on this list, just don't take nature lightly. And finally, we of course have the Bennington Triangle. The Bennington Triangle in southwestern Vermont has become pretty well known over the years because of the mysterious disappearances. One of the most well-known missing persons cases is Paula Weldon. She was a college student who vanished on December 1st of 1946. Paula was a sophomore at Bennington College and had gone for a solo hike on the Long Trail, a part of the Appalachian Trail that passes through the area. Unfortunately, she never returned. There was a massive search effort, including hundreds of volunteers, law enforcement, even the military, but there was no trace of her. The Bennington Triangle is an area including Glattensbury Mountains, Somerset, and Bennington, and it became known as the Bennington Triangle because there are plenty of other unexplained disappearances in this area of land. Some other famous cases are the vanishing of James Tedford, who disappeared from a bus in 1949, leaving all his belongings behind. That has to be one of the strangest cases I've ever heard, because he wasn't even out in the open, he was on a bus. And the mysterious disappearance of Paul Jepson in 1950 while on a family outing. This place is very, very strange.
Have you ever heard the saying, this place is like Fort Knox because it's so well protected? Well, the places we are going to be talking about today are just like that. You are restricted, even banned from entering these places, and don't even try to break the rules. First up, we have the Vatican Secret Archives. The Vatican Secret Archive serves as a storage space for numerous documents relating to the Catholic Church. The Pope, as the sovereign of Vatican City, owns the material held in the archive until his death or resignation, with ownership passing on to his successor. Now, the archive contains state papers, correspondence, account books, and many other documents that the church has accumulated over the centuries. Now, some of these documents date as far back as the 8th century. Now, there are said to be papal accounts of a letter from Michelangelo to Pope Julius II, a letter from Mary Queen of Scots written before her execution, and Martin Luther's excommunication document. Now, most of the archive is located underground, and it has 53 miles miles of shelves with 35,000 volumes in the selective catalog alone. Now, it's forbidden to enter it for anyone except for researchers with special permits to access. But even for them, there are multiple limitations to what documents they can view. Not to mention, only paper, pencil, and computer laptops are permitted. No ink, pens, or any digital camera photography are allowed inside. Only 5 requested articles can be taken out at a time, and only 60 academics per day are allowed inside. So even if you can visit, there's a lot of restrictive rules you would have to follow. Next up is the Bangar Fort, India. Okay, so this point is a little bit of a cheat because the Bangar Fort isn't completely banned to access because tourists can visit it in the daylight, but from sunset to sunrise, there is a strict ban on entering this place. Generally regarded as the most haunted place in India, this 16th century fort is full of legends about ghosts and curses. Some visitors pointed out that they get a weird sense of paranoia as if someone is following them around, and that's why many guests don't stay long in the area. Now, as per the legends, Bangar Fort has been cursed by a hermit named Guru Balu Nath. Now, the spot where the fort had been built once served as the meditation spot of the sage, and when the king pleaded with him that he wanted to build a fort there, the sage agreed on one condition, that the fort's shadow should not touch him. Now, the king agreed but did not follow through, and the curse of the hermit followed, which led to the entire village being destroyed. You might be wondering who happens to those who dare visit the Bangar Fort at night, but no one knows, because according to locals, whoever tries to break the rule mysteriously disappeared after it, as it is believed that spirits roam there at night. Yeah, with the way this is described, I don't think I'd ever want to go there during the day. Now we have Heard Island, Australia. One of the most remote territories in the world, Heard Island is considered an Australian territory, even though it's located between Madagascar and Antarctica. It's home to a wide range of animals, such as seals, penguins, and marine birds, as well as more than 40 glaciers. At one point, it was open for visitors, but they ended up closing it to public. There were a couple reasons for this, as in the year 2000, researchers noticed a huge lava flow coming from the island's massive volcano called Mawson. Second, Heard Island is known for its poor weather conditions, and third, it's too remote to be safe. It's located in a minimum 2-week sail to the closest major landmass, so I think it's a good idea that they close this down. Moving on to Pravichka Brana, Czech Republic. Europe's largest natural sandstone arc, Pravichka Brana is one of the most well-known attractions in the Czech Republic. The span of the arc at the bottom is 87 feet and the opening is 52.5 feet high. The width ranges from approximately 23 to 26 feet, and in the narrowest, the arch is about 9.8 feet thick. Its frequent attendance used to cause increased erosion of the upper parts and destruction of the gate. Therefore, access of the public to the gate has been forbidden since 1902. Now, the purpose of the protection is preserving the current state. The more visitors that come to the area, the more likely it is to collapse one day. So, to reduce erosion, tourists can now see it from afar, but not climb onto it. Now, unfortunately, the erosion process continues even without the help of visitors, and according to geologists, the arch can still collapse in the future, but at least the ban slows down the process and gives us more time to admire it. Let's discuss the Mausoleum of Qin XI Hang, China. Founder of China's Qin Dynasty, Emperor Qin XI Hang, who reigned between 221 BCE and 210 BCE, was the first emperor of a unified China. He created the Great Wall of China as well as laying down a vast national road system. It was Qin XI Hang who built a huge stone army known as the Terracotta Army, which consists of some 8,000 life-size statues of soldiers as well as numerous horses and chariots. Surrounding this place, the Terracotta Army was likely built in order to protect the emperor in the afterlife. Now, although the tomb of the emperor was discovered upon unearthing the Terracotta Army in 1974, it hasn't been excavated yet. According to the opponents of the excavation of the tomb, modern technologies can't prevent its destruction. For this reason, access to it is still forbidden by the Chinese government. All we know about it now is that it consists of a complex network of caverns underground, filled with objects that, according to those who buried him, the emperor could have needed in the afterlife. Now, I gotta agree with this one. I think we should leave him alone. Now we have Medjugorje, Russia. Being the largest country in the world, Russia is certainly full of surprises. Now, it has a lot of mysterious sites, towns, and other special places, like for example, Medjugorje. It's a closed town hidden somewhere in the southern Ural Mountain. Now, to keep off anyone who wants to enter the town or even come close to it, it's encircled by 2 battalions. Now, what's so important about this area? Well, it's not
not 100% clear what this area is and why it's surrounded by this sea. The Russian government has been evasive when asked questions about Mezgoria, and the Russian government claimed Mezgoria was bunker for high-level officials, a food cache, and a mining operation. So, which is it? We don't know, but according to the most believable reports, it's a nuclear missile site that allegedly has automatic missiles that can be controlled remotely. Now, some people think this place is Russia's Area 51, but regardless, it seems like we might never know what's so special about this place. Grand Shrine of Isle, Japan is next on our list. Japan is a land of shrine culture and is home to approximately 1,000 shrines. But did you know that the Isle Grand Shrine is one of the most important as well as the most expensive of all the shrines in Japan? The Grand Shrine Isle in Japan is a very important place for the Shinto religion because it was built to honor Amaterasu, a goddess of the sun and the universe. Now, interestingly, this temple is rebuilt every 20 years according to the Shinto idea of death birth. Every time they reconstruct the shrine, they keep on using a wood joining technique and never utilize nails, which is pretty cool. Now, to keep the place holy, only priests and members of the imperial family of Japan can go there. Everyone else can gaze at the temple from the outside through wooden fences. Now on to Surtsey, Iceland. Surtsey, one of the youngest islands in the world, appeared due to a volcanic eruption that lasted from 1963 to 1907. These days though, it's only used for scientific purposes. Visitors, except for research groups, are forbidden to visit this island because scientists want to understand how ecosystems form without any human influence. Now, free from human interference, Surtsey has been producing unique long-term information on the colonization process of new land by plant and animal life. Since they began studying the island in 1964, scientists have observed the arrival of seeds carried by ocean currents, the appearance of molds, bacteria, and fungi, followed in 1965 by the first vascular plant, of which there were 10 species by the end of the first decade. By 2004, they numbered 60 together with 75 bryophytes, 71 lichens, and 24 fungi. 89 species of birds have been recorded on Surtsey, 57 of which breed elsewhere in Iceland. Now, I understand why they wouldn't want everyday humans to come to this place as they could ruin it, and they've never had an opportunity to study an island like before. Up next is Metro 2, Moscow. Metro 2 is the name given to a secret underground rail network built by Stalin in the 1930s to allow the Soviet police to move around the city rapidly without detection. It originally linked Stalin's dacha, suburban residence, the Ministry of Defense, command bunkers, and other military facilities. Larger and more extensive than the official metro system, it is unknown whether construction stopped after Stalin's death or if his successors continue to end it. Now, the system was also meant to serve as a protection against a nuclear attack, with a supposed giant bunker built that was able to house up to 300,000 people, along with an alternate command post for the Soviet High Command. There are even rumors that the network extends for miles outside Moscow, allowing Soviet leaders to flee in case the capital was hit by a nuclear attack. There are also rumors that the tunnels were used by the military to transport supplies, materials, and personnel between bunkers without exposure. Now, a tunnel leading into the Metro 2 system was discovered after the 1960s era Rosia Hotel near the Kremlin was demolished. The tunnel was referred to as D6, which is apparently KGB code for Metro 2. It is supposedly still operated by the Russian Ministry of Defense, but the Metro administration, however, denies existence. And lastly, we have Runit Island, Marshall Island. Between 1946 and 1958, the United States carried out 67 nuclear tests in the Pacific Ocean. The explosions were described as for the good of mankind and to all wars. 2/3 of the tests happened at Eniwetok Atoll, and they left behind a place seriously contaminated with radioactive material. Efforts to clean up the mess ran from 1977 to 1980, and there was military debris, shattered concrete, and soil tainted with elements such as plutonium, cesium, and strontium. All this toxic waste, 85,000 cubic meters of it, was scooped up and taken to a tiny patch of land called Runit Island, a place that was so badly contaminated that scientists said it could never be cleaned up. On Runit, there was already a huge void left behind by one of the blasts called the Cactus Crater. Now, it was lined with concrete and the crud was dumped in. Then they sealed off the dump with a big concrete dome. But to save costs, the bottom of the crater was not lined, so radioactive contamination has leaked into seawater, and there are serious concerns about how permanent the contaminant structure really is. Needless to say, the only people who visit Runit Island are government scientists protected by hazmat kits. Now, how they could get away with this? Absolutely horrible. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 banned places more restricted than Fort Knox.
The Mariana Trench is a highly protected zone under the jurisdiction of the United States of America. Not only is it protected, but to reach the bottom of arguably the most famous trench in the world, and one of the deepest parts of the ocean, is nearly impossible, with only a handful of people in the entire world having done it with permission and strictly for research purposes. But what's even more restricted than this underground downslope of darkness? Let's find out. First up, we've got Chuck Lagoon, located in Micronesia in the western Pacific Ocean and home to the Ghost Fleet of Turk Lagoon, which sits just 50 feet below the surface of the water and is composed of warships, planes, tanks, and railroad cars. The vessels, which once served soldiers on a fortified base during World War II, are now nothing more than a home for underwater plants and animals and a spectacle for daredevil divers. The underwater graveyard, as it has often been referred to, came as a result of an airstrike in 1944, which caused the vehicles and vessels to plummet to the seafloor, taking many soldiers along with them. If you were to check out the creepy abandoned modes of wartime transportation, it's not unlikely that you might find weapons along with gas masks and other paraphernalia and memorabilia. But some people believe there's something a bit more sinister going on beneath the waves, with multiple divers reporting feeling as though they were being watched and that there was someone there with them, other than their diving buddy of course, and other divers going so far as to claim they have actually seen the waterlogged ghosts within the parameters of the haunted graveyard. Next up, we have Reunion Island, a department of France located in the Indian Ocean. The island is home to active volcanoes, rainforests, coral reefs, and beautiful beaches, and has a population of 859,959. The one catch? Despite the beautiful blue shores, swimming along the coast of the island is banned for extreme safety reasons. You see, along with the island being home to some pretty beautiful scenery, it is also home to some of the world's most aggressive tiger and bull sharks, and it's even gained itself the nickname Shark Highway. While sharks generally tend to avoid human contact, leaving shark attacks relatively few and far between, it seems that the sharks living in these waters surrounding the French island missed the memo, as they are the exact opposite of the general rule. In fact, the sharks have actually gone so far as to adapt their behavior to that of the humans in order to increase their proximity. Typically, sharks in the waters of Reunion can be seen spending time trolling along the shallows of the shore in hopes to get even a small taste of human flesh. Not so fun fact, between 2011 and 2016, the small island alone was responsible for over 15% of the world's fatal shark attacks. An underwater brine pool discovered at the bottom of the Red Sea is next up on the list. The strange occurrence was discovered by a team of scientists at a depth of 1,770 meters. The brine pool, which is made up of highly concentrated seawater, roughly 3 to 8 times saltier than the surrounding ocean, is not only super cool to look at, but also super deadly if you were to enter. You see, believe it or not, these brine pools contain a lethal amount of saline, or salt, which replaces the oxygen content in the water. The pools also contain poisonous chemicals, including hydrogen sulfide, and while there are some microbes that survive within the shallows of these strange underwater ponds, it is important to remember that fish, crabs, eels, and definitely humans cannot survive in these conditions. So let's stay above the saltiness, okay? Next up, we have Lake Chagan, located in Kazakhstan, Russia, on a nuclear test site. Well, the lake isn't just located on a nuclear test site, but rather it was one. You see, Lake Chagan, also known as the Atomic Lake, was formed in an effort to demonstrate ways to peacefully detonate nuclear weapons with minimal damage and positive economic impact. In order to create the infamous non-swimming hole, a 584-foot hole was dug at the test site, and then the weapon was lowered down, and boom! The bomb went off and the site of the lake was created, along with a channel to fill it, along with a low-level radioactive plume that reached as far as Japan and sent dust high into the atmosphere. Not only that, but the blast altered a large amount of local geology, as well as a glassy residue of melted quartz and other minerals covered the shores of the lake. The lake, which was formed in 1965, is still radioactive to this day, with a recent study declaring its waters approximately 100 times more radioactive than that of acceptable drinking water, so it's a big no for me. Next we have Bikini Atoll, located in the Marshall Islands, another infamous nuclear test site that is no longer inhabitable due to the long-lasting impact of the nuclear blast and the radioactive contamination that has greatly affected the soil, animals, water, and marine life around the island. While relocating local residents and banning any future persons from residing on the island might seem a bit extreme, it's probably pretty necessary, as during the 1940s and 50s, a total of 23 nuclear bombs were dropped around the parameters of the island, with the second one, dropped in 1946, carving a 30-foot deep and 2,000-foot wide crater on the sea floor, triggering a massive tsunami with waves up to 94 feet, 28.9 meters high. Wildly enough, in recent years, while you still cannot reside on the island, people have been allowed to visit and even take a dive in the residually radioactive waters, but not without receiving special approval and paying for 2 official representatives to accompany them. Once the divers make their descent, they must also be incredibly careful not to touch anything, as grabbing souvenirs from the wreck site might not only cause a person to experience excess exposure to radiation, but it's also strictly forbidden. Up next, we have a spring containing a 140-foot deep well located in the Texas Hill Country that goes by the name of Jacob's Well. The spring, which is classified as a perennial karstic spring, meaning that it has a continuous natural flow of water, is a beautiful landmark and a go-to hotspot for tourists and locals alike. So how did it earn itself a spot on this list? Well, the trouble actually lies beneath the surface of the almost mile-long well. The incredibly deep system of underground chambers has been referred to as one of the most dangerous dive locations in the world, and as such is off limits to the public, leaving the tunnels reserved solely for a very small group of specialized divers. Even with this being the case, there have been several fatalities due to divers becoming trapped in false exits, getting caught in passageways, and running out of oxygen on the 5-hour dive. It has since become a highly recommended no-go zone. The Red River of Spain is next up on the list, also referred to as the Chemical Lake of Rio Tinto or Spain's Stained River. These nicknames are in reference to the murky copper-red color the river has taken on as a result of the natural decomposition of minerals, heavy metals, and sulfates, the large presence of which may be due to thousands of years of mining pollution in the area. Because of this, the waters in the upper and middle basins of the Rio Tinto are highly toxic and detrimental to supporting human and animal life. So naturally, there are no fish swimming around the area, nor are there birds stopping in for a drink, because if they did, they would literally die. Humans have also been banned from swimming in the river too, and for good reason. Next up on the list, we have Horseshoe Lake, a body of water that can be found located along the perimeters of Mammoth Mountain. Located along the perimeters of the Mammoth Mountain volcano in California. Its location alone has made it an extremely popular place for family gatherings, picnics, hiking, and even swimming, but it wasn't always this way. You see, back in 1989, a cluster of earthquakes caused the earth beneath the surface of the lake to crack open and release dangerous, lethal amounts of CO2 into the waters as well as the air, killing more than 100 acres of trees in the surrounding area. While the effects of the CO2 have since become obsolete, it's important to remember that Mammoth Mountain is still a very young volcano, which means it could still cause deadly amounts of carbon to seep through the lake at any time. What's the scariest place you've ever gone swimming? Let us know in the comments. The Boiling Lake is next on the list, located in Dominica. It is the second largest recorded hot spring in the world. The lake's extreme temperatures, which occur naturally as the water is warmed by the geothermal heat coming from the Earth's interior, range from 180 to 197 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 82 to 90 degrees Celsius, along the edge. That's almost literally boiling. And it's just along the edge. You see, scientists weren't actually able to measure the temperature in the center of the lake because of the extreme heat and steam coming from a nearby volcano. However, they could visually see that the center is actively boiling, so you can only imagine how hot it might be. While the public are understandably restricted and banned from so much as even coming close to the perimeter of this lake, there are other hot springs in the area that are available to enjoy, just not this one. never this one. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot, we have the stunning Turquoise Lake. Located in Siberia, Russia, with waters so clear and so blue, the lake quickly became a popular stop for tourists and influencers who flocked to the area with the hopes of snapping a pic that could rival even the best of those taken on a fancy all-inclusive Caribbean vacation. Well, I guess things aren't always as they seem, because the beautiful color that has garnered so much fame is actually the result of waste runoff from a nearby power plant. Calcium salts and other metal oxides have caused the water to become toxic and highly alkaline. Even just dipping a toe could result in a severe allergic reaction. Because of this, the lake is strictly off limits and people have been banned from swimming within its waters.
It's kind of fun how full of secrets the world is, isn't it? But as fascinating as all the forest and ocean that's still yet to be explored, there are also plenty of manufactured locations on planet Earth where only the very small segment of people who work there truly know what goes on within. We're going to start off with Pine Gap in Australia. This is a secretive facility that sits in the Australian outback, about 12 miles southwest of Alice Springs. It's run jointly by the United States and Australia and is officially known as the Joint Defense Facility Pine Gap, or JDFPG. It was established in 1966 with the purpose of collecting signals intelligence, but so much of what really goes on here is unsurprisingly classified. So of course, rumors are aplenty. The facility is equipped with advanced technology like satellite dishes and radomes, which are structures that cover antennas to protect them from the environment. Obviously, these are used to monitor things, but as for what they're paying attention to, classified. There are some people in the conspiratorial realm that say this place is involved in more than just signals intelligence, that maybe the place plays a role in global surveillance, missile tracking, or even extraterrestrial activities. The facility's role in supporting US military operations has also led to a lot of speculation. The Australian government does acknowledge the existence of Pine Gap, but is very tight-lipped about what actually goes on there. If you are enjoying our channel so far, then please don't be tight-lipped yourself. Comment down below there and don't forget to subscribe as well. I'm getting good at just throwing those in. I always connect them. I'm a very talented person. Alright, let's switch gears for a moment and discuss one of my favorite subjects, haunted hotel rooms. Legend has it that in the early years of the Fairmount Banff Springs Hotel in Canada, a couple and their young daughter stayed in room 873. Now, there are many different versions of this story, usually ending with the daughter or the entire family dying. But after this unfortunate incident, the room continued being rented out for a while to guests, but guests would then start running out of the room screaming, claiming they'd get startled awake to the sound of screams in their room, but they'd only find bloody handprints on the mirrors, no one else there. But these prints would disappear by the time hotel staff would arrive to investigate. In an attempt to hush up the incident and avoid any more negative publicity, the hotel sealed off room 873. At least that's how the story goes. So even though the room is officially out of commission, guests staying nearby have reported eerie occurrences ever since. The faint sound of a child weeping, mysterious shadows, and unexplained noises are also reported pretty regularly. And if you ask hotel staff about room 873, they'll claim it never existed. I mean, there is no actual room there, it's just a wall. But there clearly used to be a room, 873. First of all, there are rooms ending in 73 on every floor. There's this gap in the middle of the hallway on the 8th floor where it looks like a room would have been. Plus, there's a light on the ceiling of the empty spot, just like there are lights by every other room. There's lots of signs that point to the fact that they just kind of covered it up. But staff, for whatever reason, they're just not allowed to talk about it. It's pretty interesting. Fairmount Banff Springs Hotel has gained quite the reputation as a haunted tourist attraction. So if you're ever lucky enough to visit this place in the Canadian Rockies, keep an eye out for those lingering spirits from room 873. Next on the list is pretty fascinating and actually makes a lot of sense. It's the Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway. So this place is sometimes referred to as the Doomsday Vault, It's not as ominous as it sounds, though. This place is built into the permafrost of a mountain on the island of Spitsbergen and was officially opened in 2008. So what's this place used for? Well, it's a seed vault. It acts as a global backup storage facility for seeds, housing and preserving a huge collection of plant species from all over the world. And the idea here is to safeguard the world's plants by storing duplicate samples of seeds in a secure, remote location. Norway seems like a pretty ideal spot for that. The permafrost surrounding the vault provides a natural form of refrigeration, perfect for preserving seeds. The vault is a failsafe designed to withstand natural and man-made disasters, even nuclear war or climate-related catastrophes, making sure that we'll have seeds to repopulate the earth with crops if anything goes catastrophically wrong. Probably no surprise to anyone, but this place is heavily safeguarded and completely off limits to the general public. Next is North Brother Island. North Brother Island in the East River near New York City has a very interesting history. Probably the most famous story about this place is that it used to house quarantined people. In the late 1800s, Riverside Hospital was built on North Brother Island to isolate and treat individuals with contagious diseases like smallpox and typhoid and tuberculosis. One of the most famous residents was known as Typhoid Mary, an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever who was confined on the island for over 2 decades. But the hospital was eventually closed in the 40s, and North Brother Island was completely abandoned. The crumbling remains of the hospital buildings and other structures still stand on the island today, giving it a pretty eerie vibe. Now the place is mostly closed off to the public. Visits must be requested and are only considered under very specific conditions, but those who have set foot on the island have told stories about strange sounds and ghostly apparitions there. Unsurprising considering the isolation, the decay, and its very dark past. Next up, we have Room 39 in North Korea. I guess we could throw the entirety of North Korea on here technically, but we'll just narrow it down to this for now. Room 39 is a secretive organization reportedly located in North Korea, also known as Bureau 39. It operates under the government's ruling Workers' Party of Korea. So Room 39's main focus is engaging in various illicit activities to generate funds for the North Korean regime. Specific activities carried out aren't publicly disclosed, obviously, but some things have been rumored to take place, like counterfeiting currency, the trafficking of illicit substances, arms sales. One of the most infamous allegations is that Room 39 has been engaged in the production and distribution of counterfeit US currency known as supernotes. These high-quality counterfeit bills are difficult to detect and are suspected to have been used to fund North Korea's activities abroad. Surtsey in Iceland. So Surtsey is a volcanic island off the southern coast of Iceland. Its history is pretty fascinating because it emerged from the depths of the Atlantic Ocean as a result of a volcanic eruption that began in 1963 and lasted all the way up until 67. The island is named Surtur, the fire giant from Norse mythology. When the island was first formed, the island is named after Surtur, the fire giant from Norse mythology. When the island was first formed, it was completely barren with no signs of life. Can't imagine why. You probably wouldn't expect any life to form in a place like this, but you'd be wrong. Over the years, scientists have been monitoring the place and have actually seen plant and even animal life starting to form on the island. It's kind of become a natural laboratory for scientists studying how life gradually forms on new land masses. Surtsey is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and access to the island is highly restricted. Only a select few scientists are allowed to visit, and special permits are required. This is to prevent heavy human interference and just let the place do its thing. Next up, we have Diego Garcia. This place sits in the central Indian Ocean and part of the British Indian Ocean Territory. It's home to a joint US-British military base that's been in operation since the 70s. The military facilities on Diego Garcia have been used for various purposes like intelligence gathering and air and naval operations. The specific operations that go on here are mostly classified with only very limited info ever being disclosed to us, the public. So just like with any place like this, there's a lot of speculation as to what goes on here. The US military base on the island has also been a key hub for the projection of American power in the area. It played a big role during the Gulf War, the Iraq War, and the war in Afghanistan. Alright, next up, we have a really creepy spot. Bohemian Grove. This place is this vast, almost 3,000 acre campground that's strictly invite only. Super exclusive. It's an elite club and only wealthy men are allowed. Every year, some of the most powerful and influential guys in Hollywood gather here. And what do? Apparently there are weird rituals and ceremonies. Famously, there's this huge owl statue that kind of oversees everything. Rumor has it that hooded figures, world leaders, big shot businessmen, and even famous artists gather around this owl for some kind of secretive ritual. If you're thinking of attempting to venture out and get a peek at the place, it's heavily guarded, surrounded by military personnel. No prying eyes or cameras are allowed anywhere near under any circumstances. So, are there political discussions going on here? Shady deals, creepy ritualistic sacrifices? Not sure if there are any True Detective fans in the audience, but it kind of gives me those sorts of vibes, which are not good vibes. Surprisingly, I haven't talked much about aliens on this list so far, so let's talk about Dulce Base. This is an underground facility that's rumored to be a hotbed of extraterrestrial activity, a secret lair where aliens and members of the United States government team up for all sorts of wild and weird experiments. The juicy gossip is that the humans and aliens actually work together here, collaborating on super advanced technology and playing around with genetics. Some even go as far as saying that aliens themselves are the bosses running the show here. As for the experiments, we're talking mind control shenanigans and even the creation of human-animal hybrids. And we're finishing things off with Jiangsu National Security Education Museum in China. This is not your average museum where you just casually stroll through exhibits. No. This one has a focus on national security. What makes this place extra bizarre is that only Chinese citizens are allowed in. If you're a foreigner, you're not getting in. So because I'm not from China, I don't know what's exactly in there, and it's tough to find any definitive insider info on it. But essentially, this wing of the museum is dedicated to spy stuff, primarily spreading awareness to Chinese citizens about supposed outsider espionage from other countries. Now, in all seriousness, I'm not 100% sure if this place is still closed off to tourists from outside the country, but when it first opened in 2009, it definitely was.
From elusive vaults hiding world-changing secrets to islands where time stands still, these places are shrouded in mystery, guarded tightly by security, and wrapped in intriguing tales.
In a world full of mysteries, our journey isn't over yet. Before we dive into our list today, I have an exciting announcement to make. Please help me in welcoming our newest host on Most Amazing Top 10, Hannah!
Hi everybody! Starting us off today, we have the Baghdad Fort, located in Rajasthan, India. The fort was built in the village of Kuldara in the 17th century by Emperor Madho Singh for his son Man Singh, and is now known today as one of the most haunted places in India. The legend says that when the fort was built, the emperor made a promise to a man named Baba Blue Nath that the shadow of the structure would not touch the body of the man in his home where he practiced his meditations. Unfortunately, the emperor lied and in a bout of greed built the fort much taller and wider than the two had originally agreed upon, which proved to be a big mistake, as it is said that the hermit Baba Balu then cursed the village, which later led to its very abrupt destruction. In 1825, without warning, the village of Kuldara, as well as 83 of its neighboring villages, suddenly vanished in the dark. Now, new studies suggest that the disappearance of the villages may have been due to a devastating earthquake, but I'm not so sure. I mean, Baba Balu seemed pretty serious about the whole shadow thing. Today, the fort is open for exploration from sunrise to sunset, but it is strictly off limits. after dark. While there are some who have given into temptation and broken this rule, we're still unsure of what goes on at Bangar Fort in the dead of night, as those who have gone in at this time have never actually come out.
Next up on our list, we have Area 6. Not quite as infamous as its 51st counterpart, Area 6 is much less well known but still full of mystery and forbidden knowledge. Area 6 is just one area on the Nevada test site that is reserved for those with the highest security clearance. While this place isn't full of rumors and speculations of mermaids and aliens, it is the site that held 4 nuclear tests for a total of 6 detonations. This area includes an asphalt runway and some nearby buildings, including a hangar. One of the buildings was originally constructed as a device assembly facility, but it now serves as the CEF, which is the Critical Experiments Facility. One of the most notable moments from Area 6 took place in 1982 during a very crucial time, as a live nuclear bomb, really want to put emphasis on the fact that it was a live nuclear bomb, was being lowered into the ground, presumably for one of the experiments. The base actually came under attack by armed combatants. This, of course, was surprising and dangerous and frightening, especially considering the live nuclear weapon that was around at the time. As it turns out, this attack was actually just a security team that was conducting a drill. Looks as if someone messed up on the scheduling that day, and it almost turned out completely catastrophic. Luckily, whoever was at the control point, which serves as the communication hub of Area 6, where they control the weapons triggers and monitor the test nuclear explosions. Luckily, those in the control area that day were able to recognize this mistake before anything got too out of hand.
Moving on to Poveglia Island in Italy. The small island located between Venice and Lido was once used as a quarantine center for those affected with the plague. The island is said to have hosted over 160,000 infected individuals who, upon their demise, were either buried in massively overcrowded graves or simply burned due to said overcrowding. There are even reports out there that state a whopping 50% of the island's soil is actually consistent of human remains. And believe it or not, it doesn't actually end there, as in the late 1800s, the island was used as a mental hospital where it is believed one of the doctors routinely tortured his patients. And if that's not enough, because of all this, it is now believed that the island is extremely haunted, with some going so far as to say it's the most haunted place in the world. Reports of ghost sightings and hearing the screams of the deceased in the dead of night are by no means in short supply. In 1968, the Italian government decided it wanted absolutely nothing to do with the island, the smell of death, and all of the spooky baggage, and therefore it deemed it both banned and prohibited. You are more than welcome to take boat rides around the island, but to step foot on the sands of what is essentially just a massive graveyard is a big no-no. What's the creepiest place you've ever been? Let us know in the comments.
Coming up next, we have the Morgan Stanley's Data Center located in New York. It is recognized as one of the most secure data centers globally. This facility plays a pivotal role in the world of finance, handling an immense volume of sensitive financial data and transactions daily. The security and integrity of this data are paramount given its potential impact on global markets and the privacy of countless individuals. Consequently, the data center employs state-of-the-art security measures, both digital and physical, to safeguard against any form of breach or intrusion. The exact location and intricate details of this facility are a closely guarded secret, known only to a select few within the organization. This secrecy is maintained not just to protect the center from physical threats, but also to safeguard against cyber threats, which are increasingly sophisticated in the financial sector. The data center's operations are a testament to Morgan Stanley's commitment to security and confidentiality, reflecting the immense responsibility they bear in the global financial landscape. This sounds really a lot like an ad for Morgan Stanley. You're welcome, guys. I'm doing it for free. It's like a fortress for all things financial, all right? You're welcome, Morgan.
On a bit of a lighter note, the Coca-Cola Vault is up next on the list. The vault, located in a museum in Atlanta, is, as you've probably guessed, home to the notorious Coca-Cola recipe, or the secret formula, some might say. The recipe, which dates all the way back to 1986, was originally kept at SunTrust Bank under lock and key from 1925 up until the company's 25th anniversary in 1996, when the super secret recipe was relocated to the high-tech vault in Atlanta. But any visitors hoping to catch a peek were sadly disappointed, as even during the transportation period, the recipe was kept under lock and key, securely sealed inside a metal box. Of course, the 10-foot vault in which the secret formula is kept is strictly off limits to the public. While the recipe is allegedly written down and highly protected, it is said that there are 2 people in the world who have actually laid eyes on it and have the formula memorized. These 2 individuals are forbidden from ever flying on the same plane, so that in the unlikely event of a crash landing ending in the tragic death of one, the other would still be able to carry on the legacy. Not sure about you guys, but for such a big safe, I kind of wonder what else they're hiding in there.
Next up around our halfway point is the Dome of the Rock, an architectural marvel and a spiritual mystery that stands majestically in Jerusalem, captivating the imaginations of millions worldwide. Covered in layers of history and reverence, this iconic structure is not only a masterpiece of Islamic architecture, but also a symbol of the complex tapestry of faiths in Jerusalem. For many, it remains an elusive treasure, as access to the interior is extremely limited, especially for non-Muslim visitors, adding to its aura of mystery. Perched atop the ancient and sacred Temple Mount, the site whispers tales of religious significance, rumored to be the place where Abraham prepared to sacrifice Isaac and where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. The shimmering golden dome, visible from various points in the city, serves as a beacon of intrigue, silently guarding centuries-old secrets and religious mysteries. This restriction on entry only amplifies the dome's allure, making it a very tantalizing emblem of the untouchable, covered in myth, history, and spiritual significance.
And that brings us to the Fukushima exclusion zone in none other than Fukushima, Japan. The exclusion zone came to be as a result of a nuclear disaster that occurred in March of 2011. On March 11th, Japan was struck by a massive earthquake, followed quickly by a tsunami in which waves reaching more than 10 meters high engulfed the island. The devastation of the natural disaster caused the reactors of the Daiichi nuclear power plant to overheat, melt, and subsequently leak harsh radioactive materials into the surrounding environment. Not only did this cause the area to become banned to members of the public, it also resulted in some pretty interesting effects on the surrounding areas and wildlife. Mutations were reported to be found in butterflies and on the leaves of many trees surrounding the site of the meltdown. Scientists worried about the lasting effects this might have on the area, but a recent study suggested that there was no significant increase to the mutation rate within the area. While parts of Fukushima have now been reopened for public exploration, the site of and the immediate area surrounding the meltdown are still of restricted access. Despite these restrictions, in 2016, a Malaysian photographer and 2 colleagues managed to sneak their way into the prohibited area, and after emerging back into the better-known world, described it as a ghost town and said being there made them feel as though they were the last people on the planet.
Kicking off the top 3, we have the Dai Hiwa Kinento, or the Great Peace Prayer Tower, which is situated in Osaka, Japan. This place stands as a solemn monument dedicated to the memory of those who lost their lives during World War II. This poignant memorial is a symbol of peace and reflection, embodying the hopes for a world without war. Within its grounds lies an especially poignant section, an underground library. This library is a repository of deeply personal and historic artifacts, a collection of letters written by soldiers during the war. These letters, often the last messages sent to their families and loved ones, offer a window into the human experiences and emotions of wartime. However, access to this underground library is not granted to the public. It remains a restricted area, preserving the privacy and sanctity of these personal and historical documents. This is exactly what sets this place apart from other memorial buildings. It's not just a memorial in the traditional sense, but also a guardian of personal histories and a testament to the individual lives affected by the ravages of war.
And of course we had to include the extremely bizarre yet strangely captivating Morgan Island. With more than 2,000 acres of beautiful land located in South Carolina, the island has often been referred to as Monkey Island, which is quite fitting as the area is home to over 4,000 wild rhesus monkeys. The species, however, is not native to the island, but was rather brought over from Puerto Rico in 6 shipments during 1997 and 3 more in 1980 in an attempt to relocate these silly little creatures. Now, if you're wondering why on earth the lovely people on the beautiful island of Puerto Rico wanted the monkeys gone in the first place, well, that's because they weren't just any regular old rhesus monkeys, but they were rhesus monkeys infected with the herpes B virus, which I will save you the Google search. Yes, humans can 100% contract the virus from coming in contact with the affected monkeys. So it's safe to say that the fact this island has banned public entry, strictly reserving the area for researchers only, is not something any of us are too torn up about. I mean, monkeys are cute and all, but I'm quite happy to count myself out from this particular tropical paradise.
Finally, rounding out our list today, we have Club 33, an exclusive and elusive club nestled in the heart of Disneyland. It is a symbol of luxury and exclusivity in a place otherwise known for its accessibility and universal appeal. This well-kept secret of Disneyland, discreetly located in New Orleans Square, boasts a waiting list that spans years, reflecting its allure and very exclusive nature. Gaining membership to Club 33 is not only a matter of patience, but also of financial might, as it comes with a very steep price tag. Rumored to be in the tens of thousands of dollars for initiation fees, plus annual dues, of course. The club offers its members a unique experience, hopefully, thank God if it costs tens of thousands of dollars, including access to a gourmet restaurant, a lounge, and a range of exclusive events and perks unavailable to regular park visitors. The interiors are lavishly decorated, offering an elegant respite from the bustling energy of Disneyland. With its rich history having been originally designed as a place for Walt Disney to entertain dignitaries and VIPs, Club 33 remains one of the most coveted hidden gems in Disneyland, offering a side of the park that the public never sees and adding an air of mystique to the already magical environment. We are about to embark on a journey into the shadows of secrecy, where access is denied and the mysteries run deep. These places have long been covered in secrecy, and it's time we brought them to the light. Let's delve into the mystical allure of the Issa Grand Shrine in Japan, a pinnacle of spiritual significance in Shintoism. Revered as one of the holiest and most sacred sites, this shrine embodies a tradition steeped in antiquity and mysticism. Uniquely, the Issa Grand Shrine is part of an ancient and ongoing ritual where it is demolished and rebuilt every 20 years, a practice known as Shikinen Sengu. This ritual, deeply embedded in Shinto beliefs, symbolizes the concept of impermanence and renewal, essential to maintaining the purity and power of the shrine. The materials and techniques used for reconstruction are kept traditional, honoring centuries-old craftsmanship. Access to the shrine's innermost sanctum, where the sacred mirror, considered to be one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan, is kept, is extraordinarily restricted. This privilege is reserved solely for the shrine's priests priestess or priest who is usually a member of the Japanese imperial family, and no other person, not even the emperor, is allowed inside. This level of exclusivity and the profound cultural and religious significance of the shrine make it a fascinating, albeit very mysterious, destination. Next up, we have Room 39 in North Korea. Room 39 in North Korea represents a layer of mystery within an already secretive nation. Believed to be nestled in the heart of a ruling Workers' Party building in Pyongyang, Room 39 is enveloped in mysterious tales and a lot of speculation. This clandestine entity is rumored to be a linchpin in a network of illegal activities primarily focused on generating foreign currency for the regime. It is said to be involved in a wide array of covert operations ranging from counterfeiting currencies to international insurance fraud and even illicit substance trafficking. The reality of what transpires within its walls is known to only a select few, shrouded in the utmost secrecy. This veil of mystery only compounds the intrigue surrounding Room 39, making it a focal point of international curiosity and speculations about the lengths to which North Korea goes to sustain its economy and fund its leadership's agendas. Next up, we have the Jiangsu National Security Education Museum in China. This museum, located in the heart of Nanjing, represents a unique facet of espionage history, but with a catch. It is strictly off limits to foreigners. This policy is not just a formality, it is rigorously enforced, underscoring the sensitive nature of the exhibits within. Inside, the museum houses an extensive collection of Chinese espionage equipment and confidential documents, offering an unparalleled glimpse into the shadowy world of spies and secret agents. It's a veritable treasure trove of state secrets, spy gadgets, and covert operations accessible exclusively to Chinese citizens. From cipher machines used during revolutionary times to modern-day surveillance equipment, the museum provides a comprehensive overview of China's intelligence history. It stands as a testament to the country's very complex relationship with espionage. It is shrouded in mystery and very tightly controlled, mirroring the secretive and exclusive nature of the intelligence world itself. Next up, we have the Woomera Prohibited Area, sprawling across the arid landscape of South Australia. This place stands as one of the world's largest military testing ranges. Covering an area larger than some countries, this vast, desolate expanse is full of secrecy and tightly guarded against public intrusion. Established in the Cold War era, it has been an essential site for testing a wide array of military hardware, ranging from cutting-edge missiles and advanced weaponry to unmanned aerial vehicles and drones. The testing conducted here is crucial for national defense and international collaborations involving partners like the United States. The airspace above Woomera is regularly cleared for testing, creating a temporary no-fly zone that underscores the seriousness of the activities undertaken. Despite its importance, very little is known about the specific projects and experiments conducted within its boundaries, as strict security measures and confidentiality agreements keep these details out of the public eye. This combination of vastness, secrecy, and advanced military technology makes the Woomera Prohibited Area a fascinating and intimidating locale, far more restricted than most classified sites globally. Nestled in the ancient city of Aksum, Ethiopia, stands a modest chapel believed to be the final resting place of one of history's greatest relics, the Ark of the Covenant. This sacred chest, as described in the Hebrew Bible, is said to contain these stone tablets of the 10 Commandments given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Shrouded in divine mystery, the Ark's presence in this chapel is guarded by a single monk appointed for life. This guardian, sworn by a vow of silence and seclusion, is the sole human allowed to gaze upon the Ark, making this one of the most restricted religious sites on the planet. This strict access and secretive nature of the chapel's contents have imbued it with a profound sense of reverence and intrigue. Pilgrims and tourists may visit the compound, but the chapel itself remains a tantalizing mystery, its secrets preserved within its unassuming walls. The blend of myth, religion, and historical significance surrounding the Ark continues to captivate the imagination of believers and skeptics alike, making the Chapel of the Ark of the Covenant a unique and mysterious site in the tapestry of human history. Moving on down, we have the Heard Island volcano volcano. Heard Island, situated in the sub-Antarctic, is one of the most remote and inhospitable places on Earth. Dominated by the active volcano Big Ben, the island presents a landscape of dramatic natural beauty and daunting extremes. The harsh climate, characterized by persistent cold, fierce winds, and heavy snowfall, renders access to this isolated island almost impossible. Besides its challenging geography, Heard Island is designated as a protected nature reserve, emphasizing conservation and scientific study while strictly limiting human interference. This combination of natural barriers and legal protection ensures that Heard Island remains one of the least disturbed ecosystems on the planet, a pristine sanctuary for wildlife, and a natural laboratory for scientists studying climate change and volcanic activity. Next up, we have the Royal Bedroom in the United Kingdom. Located in the heart of Buckingham Palace, the Queen's bedroom, well, I suppose it's now the King's bedroom, epitomizes exclusivity and is undeniably one of the most restricted rooms in the entire United Kingdom. This room, steeped in royal history, is a sanctuary for the reigning monarch, filled with priceless artifacts and personal treasures. Its notoriety peaked in 1982 when an intruder, Michael Fagan, shockingly made it past palace security and into the room, an unprecedented breach that shook the foundations of royal security. This incident prompted a massive overhaul of palace security protocols, of course, transforming the bedroom into a veritable fortress within Buckingham Palace. Access to this room is now more tightly controlled than ever, reserved for a select few and guarded with the highest levels of security, ensuring that such a breach remains a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. Moving on, we have Area 122. Area 122, ensconced within the Antarctic Treaty's no-go zones, lies secluded on an island in the Enderby Land, a remote part of Antarctica known for its harsh and unforgiving climate. This area is designated as a specially protected zone, aimed at preserving its unique and fragile ecosystem. It's a sanctuary for an array of polar wildlife, including species that are not found anywhere else on the planet. The strict restrictions in place mean that access is extremely limited, with tourists and even scientists requiring special permits to visit. These permits are seldom granted, ensuring that human impact on the area's pristine environment is kept to an absolute minimum. The isolation and protection of Area 122 make it one of the most intriguing and least disturbed natural areas on Earth, a true example of untouched wilderness. Next up, we have the Granite Mountain Records Vault. Owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Granite Mountain Records Vault is an awe-inspiring facility carved deep into a mountainside near Salt Lake City, Utah. This massive vault, constructed in the 1960s, is a fortress designated to withstand natural disasters and nuclear attacks. Its primary purpose is to house and protect a vast collection of genealogical and historical records, including millions of microfilm reels containing family history and vital records from all over the world. The security measures surrounding the vault are extraordinary, featuring state-of-the-art technology and rigorous protocols to ensure the preservation and protection of these invaluable records. The public's access to the vault itself is extremely limited, with the church maintaining strict control over who can enter the facility. This secrecy and the critical nature of the documents stored within add to the vault's mystique, making it a topic of fascination and intrigue among both genealogists and just the general public. Next up, we have Porton Down. A British research facility located in Wiltshire. Porton Down is a hub of scientific inquiry dedicated to the study of chemical and biological weapons. Established during the First World War, it has since been at the forefront of research in these fields. The activities and experiments conducted at Porton Down are of the highest classification, covered in secrecy and subject to strict government oversight. This veil of mystery has made the facility a magnet for conspiracy theories and controversies over the years. It has been associated with everything from unethical human testing to the development of advanced undisclosed weaponry. Despite its notoriety, Porton Down plays a crucial role in national defense, helping the UK to understand and defend against chemical and biological threats. However, the exact nature of much of its research remains a closely guarded secret, adding to its mysterious and somewhat ominous reputation.